Good afternoon. You're tuned in to another episode of the Melanated Rebel News Network, broadcasting to you live from the beautiful and historic city of Charleston, South Carolina. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, 20 minutes past the hour of 1, with clear skies, nice spring weather. But as a patriotic forecaster, weatherman, the storm is coming. Now, before I get started, I want to thank my beautiful and patriotic sister, Melissa Foster of MB Foster Creations, for giving us our own broadcasting website where we can practice the First Amendment with clarity and without censorship. Right here, www.mrnewsnetwork.com. That's www.mrnewsnetwork.com. Spread the word, Patriots. We have our own broadcasting platform now. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, before I get started, I also want to thank all of my Cash App people, the guys who donate to my Cash App. It helps me bring these broadcasts here with a lot more clarity. And I can't thank you enough. You help me out on my missions when I go travel and when I go cover the events that I should be covering. So my ideal is to have this as a full-time gig so I can continue to give you guys a quality news network, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Our first story today comes from Windsor, Virginia, where two police officers drawn their weapons and pepper sprayed a serving lieutenant of the United States Army. Now, keep in mind, this incident took place back in December and is just now gaining attention from lamestream media and hearse-chasing grifters such as Al Sharpton. Why? Because this wasn't fitting the Black Lives Matter narrative at the time, being that by this time, in December, Biden pretty much was on his way to the White House. This means they were going to task him to address the issue more, which if he had at that time, it would have made it more difficult to put melanated people on the back burner like they usually do when they get in the office. And if you notice, during that little stint from December to mid-January, you didn't hear anything about police brutality, right? Now, there were more things that they were trying to get their hands on. The newsworthy stories of December and January were painting the president, Donald J. Trump, to be a racist, white supremacist, and to label the patriots that were protecting people that were supporting him as racist, alt-right, white supremacist groups, which we all know is false. Lamestream media just don't get enough of snowing you motherfuckers, okay? Now let's look at this from a humanitarian perspective and not a race perspective. The first story, like I said, that's coming out of Windsor, Virginia, we're going to go play by play. Now keep in mind, this graphic is disturbing, but let's go through this play by play. So this started as a traffic stop.
Traffic stop at BP.
Driver, roll the window down!
Felony traffic stop.
Put your hands out the window! Put your hands out the window! Turn the vehicle off! Put your hands out the window!
I can't tell.
Put your hands out the window and turn the vehicle off!
Now, at this moment in time, I would have turned the vehicle off. My hands would have been out the window. As a matter of fact, Soon as I pulled the vehicle over, I wouldn't have had to have been commanded to have the vehicle off and my hands out of the window.
Put your hands out the window!
He's not complying, Judge.
Let me see your hands! How many occupants are in the vehicle? How many occupants are in your vehicle? Open the door slowly and step out. Open the door. Get out the car.
Now, I can't speak too much for the gentleman inside of the vehicle. And the reason I say that, because some people handle this situation differently. But my ass would have been out of that vehicle, hands in the air, and I would have, you know, if I seen a gun drawn on me like that, it would have scared the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. So right now, what's probably going through that man's head, we got to think about this here. We're dealing with an Army lieutenant. We're not dealing with a Marine. So right now, this man is probably scared shitless. He's probably never been in a position where this has happened to him before, because you got to think, a lieutenant. This means he went to college, so he's a college student, you know, probably never seen any kind of aggression in his life except for when he was in boot camp. But, yeah, let's continue.
Open the door slowly and get out.
Open the door slowly and get out, asshole.
Open the door and get out the car.
Keep your hands outside the window. Keep your hands outside the window. Get out of the car now.
Get out of the car.
Now.
Get out the car.
Now. Get out of the car now. Yo, what? Guess what? I'm a veteran too. I'm gonna obey. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now. What's going on? You fixing to ride the lightning, son?
Okay. From what I'm seeing so far, our Army lieutenant is in the wrong. So far. He should have been out of that vehicle at the command of that law enforcement officer. Let's continue.
Get out of the car now! Get out of the car now! Get out of the car!
Sir, just get out the car. Work with us and we'll talk to you. Get out the car.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out.
Yeah, you should be. Get out.
Now, I can understand why he's scared here. You got two cops aiming their guns at you. In a position where you've done nothing wrong and you got two cops aiming their guns, and the energy that was being fed by the lamestream media last summer that police officers are trigger happy, I'd be scared as fuck to have my hands in a position when they're that close to reach for my seatbelt buckle, pull my seatbelt off. The reason why is because I don't want them mistaken that I am reaching for a weapon. I would keep my hands exactly where they are. I probably would have propped the door open to let them know that I'm in, you know, that I'm held inside by that seatbelt. But every limb on my body, they would have known was, you know, unarmed. Every limb would have been exposed to them until the adrenaline wore down. Okay? That's just my take on it. Let's continue.
Get out!
Get out the car.
Get out now! You're being stopped by a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest for, you're being detained, okay? You're being detained for obstruction of justice. Really? Really? Get out.
So what we have here now is dueling egos. We got a lieutenant that's probably used to bullying grunts around. Okay? Fresh grunts out of high school, fresh out of boot camp. You know, he's used to bullying them around. So, of course, he's going to have ego. Now, keep in mind, this is not a Marine we're dealing with here. We're dealing with an Army officer. There's a big difference. A frickin' Marine fresh out of boot camp will have a different attitude right here. Grunts are very cooperative with the law anyway, because their big fear is their commanding officer finding out what the hell happened while they were out on leave. These pricks don't have that problem. They are the authority. So I don't see too much of a racial issue going on here, as I see two dueling egos. Now keep in mind that one of these officers, while they're trying to make it racial, is a Hispanic. Key word. So when they keep saying two officers drew their weapons on a black Army soldier, let's keep it moving.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
Get out.
Get your hands off me. You know what? Get your hands off me.
Not a problem. Back up, Daniel.
Get your hands off of me. Okay. Word to the wise. If an officer gives you an order, or he even asks you to do something, or even make a suggestion to do something, trust and believe it won't be anything that at any given time they cannot make you do. Let's continue.
Sir.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, hey, sir.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, look.
I'm trying to talk
Get out.
to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to
I'm gonna talk to
Get
you.
out.
Just get out of my car.
Can you please
Get out.
relax? Can
Get
you
out.
please relax?
Get out of the car right now. Now.
This is not how you treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me. I didn't do anything. Whoa, hold on. What's going? Hold on.
Air Force is deployed.
So once again, I'm not seeing much racism as I'm seeing ego. There was no reason to spray that fucking pepper spray in that man's face. But then again, when you got two different egos dueling with each other, this is what you end up with here. You got the police officer who is authorized by the state to give lawful orders. You got yourself an Army lieutenant who sees these police officers as probably civilians. So now you got two different egos dueling with each other. Once again, I'm going to keep race out of this. All three of these men could have been the same color, and I think the result would have ended the same when you have ego involved. Just my take on it.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now.
Sir, just get out of the car.
Get out of the car now. Yeah, get out of the car and get on the ground now. You're gonna get again.
I don't even want to reach my seatbelt.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Get out of the car now.
What was get out of the car hard to understand?
Listen, take off your seatbelt and get out of the car.
Look, I'm just gonna please.
You're gonna do as you're told. Get out of the car.
Look,
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the. Take your seatbelt off.
look, my hands are out.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
My hands are out.
Don't reach in there, Daniel. Don't reach in there.
My hands are out. Please. Please, look. This is really messed up. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right
Get
now.
out of the car. Take your seatbelt off. What are you, a specialist, corporal? What are you?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult than it had to be. If you just comply. Get out of the car.
I'm reaching for my seatbelt.
Fine. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Straight onto the ground. Straight onto the ground.
Ma'am, you lay please.
Down. Let's go. Let's go.
Available.
Get on the ground. Get on the
Can you
ground.
please talk to
Get
me
on the
about
ground
what's
now.
going on?
Get on the ground and get sprayed again. Get on the ground.
please talk to me about what's
Get on the
going
ground!
on?
Get on the ground now!
Can you please talk to me about what's going on?
Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me about what's
Yes,
going
sir.
on?
You're not.
Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this?
You're
Why?
not cooperating. Get on the ground.
Why am I being treated like this? This is really messed up. This is really
Come on,
messed up.
sir. Well, just work with me.
This is fucked up.
Sir,
This is fucked up.
Sir.
This is fucked
Sir.
up. You know this is fucked
lay
up.
down. Lay on the ground. Just
You
lay
know
flat.
this is fucked
Lay
up.
flat for me, sir.
You know this is fucked up.
Sir, lay flat.
Fucked up.
Lay flat.
This is fucked up. I can't fucking believe I'm being treated like this. And I'm fucking
Get on the
you,
ground!
bro.
Get on the ground! Right there, right there. What's that?
Gum. What the fuck?
Get on the ground.
It's gum.
Sir, can you just work with us?
Can I?
Just work with us. Lay down flat.
Hold on.
Lay down flat. Lay down flat.
All right. I've seen enough. Now, how many times was he told to get out of the vehicle? I lost count. Let's just say that this traffic stop was illegitimate, or the reason they pulled them over was because there was a paper plate, right? It would have been a lot easier for him to slowly crept out of that vehicle, held his hands in the air, and had a conversation with these officers. Get mad if you want to. A lot of you are like, man, you're just old Uncle Tommy. Fuck that. I don't give a shit. I want you to think about how it would have went. Just think about it for a minute. If he complied. Now, I see all the people with these fucked up memes on social media talking about if Kaepernick did this and this is disrespecting the vets, what about these officers here? And all you saw was the picture. The cops just didn't walk up on him and do this. Now, was it that serious of an offense? No. It was a paper plate. It's probably something that with a conversation could have been had. He probably had the bill of sale for that vehicle in his glove box. It would have been a simple thing as, I just purchased this vehicle. Okay, let me go about my night. But when it comes to the point of, now, one thing I do want to know, the first thing I want to know, is why was it that serious that guns were drawn on him at the stop? The vehicle wasn't reported stolen. No. Did the vehicle look like it took place in any kind of crime? No. Okay, so why was it that serious? Well, according to some of the sources that I've gotten from the Windsor police, is that this vehicle was first blue lighted on a dark road. To his defense, he pulled into a well-lit area so he could feel safe getting out of the car. With that being said, if guns are drawn, I'm still doing everything the cops are saying do. The reason why, at that moment in time, I don't want them to shoot me. My hands would have been out of that fucking window the second I would have stopped that vehicle. The vehicle would have been off. Let this be a lesson. I hope I'm not having to tell you something new here. If you get pulled over by the police, have your hands out the window. Let them know that they feel safe with who they're dealing with. Secondly, don't be so full of ego that you cannot obey a lawful command. There's no way to win. Your ego intact. Get your ass out the vehicle. Hell, you might not even know. You might even make a friend in that police officer. That has happened before. If you're two egotistical assholes, 9 times out of 10, you'd probably be drinking beer together when you find out who each other are, and probably become fishing buddies, whatever. I'm only speaking from a southern aspect of things. We have some real crazy ways we meet each other down here. All right? So, I don't think that's more of a racial case, and I'm sick and tired of them making it about race. This was dueling egos. This was also probably someone who has an inexperience with dealing with the police. They should have online training classes for civilians on how to deal with the police. Now, my second story today is going to come to you from the city of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Oddly enough, this situation happened during the Derek Chauvin trial. With Derek Chauvin, well, we all know the whole situation with George Floyd and how Black Lives Matter got involved, and I'm still worried about the way that's going to unfold. But let's go there for a second. Body cam footage. Now, the audio's not loud enough, but okay, so they pull this guy over, Dante Wright. So while they're arresting him, he breaks free. He gets into the vehicle. So she's screaming, taser, taser, taser. How can you not know that's a Glock you're aiming at this man?
As I watched the video and listened
Oh
to the
shit, I
officer's
shot
commands,
him.
It is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge.
Wow. Wow. Accidental discharge. Accidental discharge. That sounds like something I say if I was no longer shooting blanks. And I get a phone call 3 months later from my old lady telling me that the stork is coming to visit us. Accidental discharge. In this case, we're still not going to call it a racial issue. I'm going to call it an issue of criminal negligence. That officer should not only be fired, but tried for murder, criminal negligence, or even manslaughter at best. The reason why is because you should know the difference between a handgun and a taser. When I aim this handgun, I know, and I shot this handgun enough to know what my handgun looks like. And I know the weight of my handgun is a lot more, less than probably a battery-weighted taser would be. Accidental discharge. Now, I'm not making excuses for the criminal in this case, or should I say the suspect, because he hasn't been tried for anything, but he did project criminal activity. You broke away from law enforcement while you were being handcuffed. Why did you do that? Why did you do that, dumbass? So you have two dumbasses here. Dumbass number one breaks away while being detained by the police. Dumbass number two aims a fucking Glock, calling it a taser. This is a case of dumbass. Now, you have people that are with what's left of the Black Lives Matter movement, because after that heifer done went and bought a house, leaving her chapters without money, a luxurious house is at that, and leaving her chapters without money, and the parents of the grieving parents and family members without money that they're demanding. If you still follow Black Lives Matter, you are also a dumbass. But one thing's for sure here. this kind of police training doesn't mean that the police need to be defunded. It doesn't mean that they need to be held more accountable, because this happens across the board. Now, the media can sell us this shit, and a lot of melanated people will buy it, because a lot of these Gen Zers out here are the grandsons or the granddaughters of the Gen Xers, and the Gen Xers are the sons of the baby boomers, sons and daughters of the baby boomers who experienced racist police officers. But one thing's for sure, when everything else integrated, so did police brutality. This is true. Police brutality doesn't discriminate. It doesn't have a color. It has a class. Because to be honest with you, when I was in Washington, D.C., and I got the footage to prove it, I saw where white Trump supporters were mistreated by the police. I also saw, and I have the tape to prove it, or I say video footage. You can tell I'm old school. I'm calling recordings tapes. I got the footage to prove it, where the police held the patriots back that come to protect these Trump supporters that were getting beat up by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Now, they can sit back and scream all day long that just because the color of their skin, they're getting beat up by the police department, right? But the police department was allowing them to run amok. And who was covering their asses? The lamestream media. They said that the Proud Boys were the ones starting the trouble, when the Proud Boys and the 3%ers were in Washington, D.C., making sure that these Trump supporters could practice their First Amendment right, walking and escorting people back and forth to the rallies. Nobody said anything about how Black Lives Matter, in the presence of police officers, were throwing fucking mortar-style fireworks at people. And, you know, anytime you're dealing with a discharge of a weapon, it doesn't even have to be a manufactured gun. We're talking about fireworks. That should be considered firearms. And according to the ATF, those are firearms. So how are people carrying firearms and using them in Washington, D.C. maliciously with the police there? No arrests were made, but the police are so racist, right? The police are just so fucking racist. It's not a racial issue here. What we're dealing with is, and Trump supporters and patriots alike can tell you the same thing. There does need to be more strict rules in policing right now, because you get these egotistical maniacs, and also you got people like the dumbass heifer who fired on that on Mr. Wright. I'm not saying it was right for. I'm gonna say it again. It wasn't right for him to break away while he was being detained. But I don't think he deserved to die for it either. I say she should have tased his ass and lit him up. Would have had my full approval. But to fucking aim a gun and claim it's a taser, and then when all is said and done, she's like, oh shit, I shot him. The Minnesota Police Department knew this shit was wrong, which is why that chief revealed the footage from the body cam to the public right away. Because with that shit going on with the Chauvin trial, that would have been more gasoline added to the fire that's about to start. You think this shit's gonna end pretty? Don't be foolish, because this shit's not gonna end pretty. These people that are up there in front of that courthouse during this whole Chauvin trial, oh, they're ready. You best believe they're ready. And if the mayor of Brooklyn Center had any fucking sense, and the mayor of fucking St. Paul or the Twin Cities had any sense, they would be deploying the National Guard right now as we speak. But my patriots, remember this. Don't buy into that lamestream media bullshit. Because what they're trying to do is divide us all for a more sinister plot that I'm going to talk about on tomorrow night's show, when I cover Tucker Carlson's recent controversial sayings. God bless Tucker Carlson, by the way. And with that being said, Patriots, I got to go ahead and end this broadcast. But remember one thing. Where we go one, we go all. United we stand, divided we fall. I'm Ricky Mann of the Melanated Rebel News Network signing off. Until then, God bless you all. I got you 6.